The surprising origin of pillows, not what you think. A pillow feels like one of the softest things humans ever created. A small square of fabric, a gentle place for the head, the quiet object waiting for you after a long day when your body is tired, your eyes are heavy, and the only thing you want is to fall into bed and disappear into sleep. It seems so simple, so ordinary, so comforting. But the first pillows were nothing like that. They were not soft, they were not fluffy, they were not filled with feathers, cotton, or down. They were not made to cradle the head gently or help someone drift peacefully into dreams. Some of the earliest pillows were made of stone. Hard stone, carefully carved stone, raised blocks built to hold the head above the ground. To a modern person, they almost look impossible to sleep on. They seem less like bedding and more like small altars, strange little platforms placed beneath the skull. But thousands of years ago, this uncomfortable-looking object answered a very real problem. How do you protect your head while sleeping in a world filled with insects, dust, heat, dirt, and danger? Before the pillow became a symbol of comfort, it was something much more practical. It was protection, it was survival, and its story begins far deeper in human history than most people would ever imagine. The earliest known pillows appeared in ancient Mesopotamia around 7000 BC in the lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This was one of the great cradles of civilization, a place where humans were beginning to settle down, build homes, grow crops, store grain, raise animals, and create more permanent ways of living. People were no longer only moving from place to place. They were creating villages. They were shaping mud brick into walls. They were sleeping inside shelters instead of under the open sky. But life was still rough, and sleep was not the clean, private, comfortable experience many people know today. Most people did not have beds in the modern sense. There were no spring mattresses, no cotton sheets, no soft comforters, no carefully arranged bedroom sets. Sleeping spaces were close to the ground. Floors were dusty. Nights could be hot. Insects crawled through homes. Small creatures moved through cracks, corners, mats, and bedding. And the human head needed protection. The eyes, ears, nose, and mouth were exposed. The face was vulnerable. While sleeping, people could not defend themselves from crawling pests, dirt, moisture, or the roughness of the ground. So early people created a raised support. Not a cushion. A headrest. A carved object, often made of stone shaped to lift the skull slightly above the earth. It may have helped keep insects away from the face. It may have supported the neck. It may have made sleep cleaner and safer. And because stone could be carved, decorated, and made to last, it also became something more than a tool. It became a sign of status. A soft pillow would have trapped sweat. It would have absorbed dirt. It could have attracted insects and pests. It would have worn out quickly in a world without modern washing, sealed homes, or easy replacement. But a stone pillow could survive for generations. That is the first great surprise in the history of pillows. The earliest versions were not created to feel good. They were created to keep the sleeper safe. From Mesopotamia, the idea of raising and supporting the head spread across the ancient world. But it did not remain the same everywhere. Each civilization reshaped the pillow according to its own climate, beliefs, materials, and way of life. In ancient Egypt, the pillow became one of the most distinctive objects in the bedroom and the tomb. Egyptian pillows were usually headrests, not soft cushions. They often had a flat base, a narrow stem, and a curved upper piece where the head could rest. Many were made from wood, though some were carved from stone or ivory. They looked elegant, strange, and almost ceremonial, like small sculptures designed for a very specific human need. Beside a bed, they looked unusual. Inside a tomb, they looked powerful. Egypt was hot, and raising the head helped air move around the neck and scalp. That mattered. In a warm climate, anything that helped the body stay cooler during sleep was useful. A raised headrest allowed the sleeper's head to rest above the surface below, reducing heat and discomfort. But the Egyptian headrest solved another problem too. Hair. Egyptian hairstyles, wigs, and personal appearance carried deep social meaning. Hair could show beauty, rank, cleanliness, and identity. A soft cushion would flatten carefully arranged hair or wigs during sleep. A raised headrest kept the head lifted, allowing the hair to stay more intact through the night. So the pillow was not only about sleep, it was about the body, it was about status, it was about appearance. And in Egypt, it was also about the afterlife. The head was considered extremely important, even sacred. In tombs, headrests were placed near the dead, ready to support them beyond life. Some were decorated with protective figures, almost as if they were guarding the sleeper through the dark, uncertain hours. To ancient Egyptians, sleep was not just rest. It was a vulnerable state. A person closed their eyes, lost awareness, and entered a mysterious space between waking and dreaming. The headrest stood beneath the skull like a small guardian, a simple object, but filled with meaning. Farther east, in China, the pillow took another surprising path. For centuries, Chinese pillows were often hard, beautifully crafted, and intentionally cool. They could be made from wood, bamboo, jade, bronze, or porcelain. These were not plain blocks placed under the head. They were works of art. Some were painted with flowers, others showed animals, poetry, children playing, scenes from daily life, or symbolic images meant to bring luck, peace, or protection. Some pillows were shaped like animals, others looked like small boxes, with a curved top just high enough to support the neck and head. To modern sleepers, a porcelain pillow sounds uncomfortable, maybe even absurd. A hard ceramic block under the head feels like the opposite of rest. But in a warm climate, porcelain stayed cool. That coolness mattered. On a hot night, before fans, air conditioning, or breathable foam, a ceramic pillow could help keep the head from overheating. It could offer relief from heat. It could also help preserve hairstyles, just as Egyptian headrests did. And because it could be decorated so beautifully, it became part of the home's visual world. The pillow in China was not only bedding, it was furniture, it was decoration, it was art. Meanwhile, in the Mediterranean world, the softer pillow slowly began to grow in importance. Ancient Greeks and Romans used cushions filled with natural materials such as straw, reeds, wool, feathers, and down. These were much closer to the pillows people recognize today. They were soft enough to sink into, flexible enough to move around, and comfortable enough to use not only for sleeping, but also for lounging. In Greek and Roman elite life, reclining was part of culture. Wealthy people reclined while eating, talking, reading, resting, and entertaining guests. Cushions and pillows appeared not only in bedrooms but also in dining spaces and social rooms. Softness began to mean comfort, and comfort began to reveal status. A wealthy Roman household might have cushions, mattresses, decorated fabrics, and bedding that showed off refinement. A poor household might have little more than a folded cloth, a sack filled with straw, or some rough plant material placed beneath the head. The pillow was becoming more comfortable, but it was still far from universal. It still depended on money. It still depended on access. Feathers had to be gathered. Down had to be collected. Wool had to be sheared, cleaned, and prepared. Linen and cotton had to be grown, processed, spun, and woven. A plump pillow was not something everyone could simply buy at a market or replace whenever it became flat. It required labor. It required animals. It required textiles. It required time. A soft pillow carried the hidden cost of an entire world of work. Then came the long transformation. In medieval Europe, pillows existed, but they were often linked with wealth, illness, childbirth, or special situations. Many ordinary people slept on simple bedding, straw sacks, folded clothing, or long bolsters shared across a bed. For them, sleep was practical. The goal was warmth, shelter, and rest, not luxury. But in castles, manor houses, and wealthier homes, pillows became larger, finer, and more decorative. They were covered in linen. Some were embroidered. Some were arranged carefully as part of a grand bed. And the bed itself was changing. It was becoming more than a place to sleep. In elite households, the bed could be one of the most valuable objects in the home. It could be displayed, inherited, decorated, and surrounded with curtains. It was private, but also public in a strange way because a grand bed showed wealth, rank, and taste. Pillows became part of that display. They were stacked, covered, decorated, arranged to show refinement. The pillow was still practical, but it was also becoming theatrical. Then the true turning point arrived with global trade and industrial manufacturing. Cotton, linen, feathers, and other materials began moving through wider trade networks. Textiles became more available. Spinning and weaving became faster. Fabric slowly became cheaper and easier to produce. During the Industrial Revolution, machines transformed cloth production on a massive scale. What once required slow hand labor could now be made in larger quantities. Bedding that had once belonged mainly to the wealthy could spread into more ordinary homes. The pillow began its journey from elite object to everyday item. By the 19th century, in many industrializing societies, pillows were increasingly common in middle-class bedrooms. They were filled with feathers, down, wool, cotton, horsehair, and other materials. Pillowcases became part of household hygiene. Bedding could be removed, washed, changed, and standardized. This changed the pillow completely. It was no longer a carved object placed beneath the head. It was becoming something personal, something washable, something soft enough to hold, adjust, fluff, fold, and return to night after night. For the first time, the pillow began to feel like the object we know today. Then the 20th century changed it again. New materials entered the bedroom. Latex foam appeared. Synthetic fibers became common. Polyester filling offered a cheaper, lighter alternative to feathers. Foam could be cut, shaped, molded, and marketed as support. Pillows could now be designed not just for softness, but for posture, neck alignment, allergies, washing, temperature, and price. Then came memory foam. After the development of viscoelastic foam in the space-age world of the 1960s, the material eventually moved from technical and specialized uses into ordinary homes. In mattresses and pillows, memory foam promised something new, a cushion that responded to pressure and heat, slowly shaping itself around the head and neck. The pillow was no longer just soft, it was engineered. It had become a designed object, shaped by comfort, science, manufacturing, and the demands of daily life. This is why the modern pillow looks the way it does. Its familiar rectangle is not random. That shape fits the width of the shoulders. It fits the shape of the bed. It fits inside a pillowcase. It can be flipped over during the night, pushed into place, folded under the neck, stacked with another pillow, or hugged against the body. It works for people who sleep on their backs, sides, or stomachs. A rectangular pillow sits neatly at the head of a mattress. It can be made in standard sizes. It can be packed, shipped, sold, washed, replaced, and used almost anywhere in the world. Even its filling is a series of design choices. Down and feathers create softness and loft, giving the pillow that light, airy feeling many people love. But they can flatten over time, shift around inside the fabric, and cause problems for people with allergies. Cotton is breathable and familiar, but it can compress and become dense. Polyester is affordable, light, and easy to clean, which is why it became so common in modern bedding. Latex gives a springy kind of support. Memory foam holds its shape and contours around the head and neck. Buckwheat hulls move and settle like tiny natural beads, creating a firm, adjustable surface. Modern pillows are no longer one single invention. They are a whole family of designs. Each one answers a slightly different question. Do you need softness? Do you need support? Do you sleep hot? Do you wake up with neck pain? Do you want something washable? Do you need something hypoallergenic? Do you sleep on your side, your back, or your stomach? The pillow became ordinary only after becoming surprisingly complex. Even the pillowcase has a hidden role in this story. It is easy to ignore because it seems so simple. Just fabric around fabric. But the pillowcase protects the inner filling from sweat, oils, skin cells, dust, and everyday wear. It makes the pillow easier to clean. It allows the same pillow to be used night after night without replacing the entire cushion. It turned the pillow into something more hygienic, more practical, and more suited to modern life. The modern pillow is the result of thousands of years of experimentation. Raise the head, protect the face, keep insects away, cool the sleeper, preserve the hair, show wealth, soften the bed, support the neck, make bedding washable, reduce allergies, fit the global shape of the bedroom. Every version added something. Every culture solved a different problem. Every material changed what a pillow could be. And yet, some of the strangest old ideas never truly disappeared. Hard pillows still exist in different forms. Wooden and ceramic headrests are still used, collected, studied, and displayed in parts of the world. Neck supports appear in travel pillows. Orthopedic pillows continue the ancient concern with head position and body alignment. Even the idea of cooling the head has returned. What ancient Chinese ceramic pillows did with porcelain, modern pillows now try to do with gel layers, breathable foams, cooling fabrics, and temperature-control designs. The technology changed. The problem stayed familiar. The pillow went from stone to silk, from carved wood to porcelain, from feathers to foam. It moved from ancient floors to royal beds, from tombs to trade routes, from handmade luxury to factory-made household essential. But beneath all of those changes, the basic purpose remained almost the same. How do you place the human head safely and comfortably during sleep? That is the hidden history inside one of the most ordinary objects on the bed. The pillow did not begin as a cloud. It began as a hard little platform between the human head and the dangerous ground. And after nearly 9,000 years of redesign, decoration, trade, technology, and sleep science, the modern pillow is still doing what the first one tried to do. It lifts the head just enough to make the night cleaner. Cooler, safer, softer, and easier to survive.